The rules are also from 1923, which means no running or jumping and only 2 dribbles before you have to pass or shoot the ball. A concussion occurs when a large force, such as another person or even the ground, hits your head and rattles your brain around. Now, one area Coach Gary Pinkel has had a lot of success in is recruiting football players from the state of Texas. Now, the Tigers were dogs in this one, if you will, as Georgia was favored by 7 points before the game. But the Tigers had other plans between the hedges. Hey, Pinkel, you think visors are cool? You're going to find something new when you come to Sanford Stadium in 2013. Good evening, everybody. It's a tired old storyline, but the Missouri Tigers hosted Gary Pinkel's old team, the Toledo Rockets, today. After cruising to an easy win last week against Murray State, the Tigers had a tougher road ahead of them today. Chelsea Thomas and Mizzou softball have been synonymous with each other for the past 5 years. Now, the freshmen might be feeling a little bit of pressure to follow in the footsteps of arguably Mizzou's greatest softball player of all time. But Coach Earlywine says the only way they'll be able to have success is to stay true to themselves. The Cardinals snapped out of their 7-game losing streak with a bang last night after scoring just 10 runs in 7 losses. The Cardinals burst to crush the Pirates 13-0. St. Louis visits another division rival this weekend for a series and looks to keep the good times rolling. Good evening, everybody. The Cardinals offense sputtered a little bit last night as a Yadier Molina solo home run was the only offense the Redbirds could muster again in a 4-1 loss against the Atlanta Braves. The Cardinals and Braves played an early game this afternoon, but that didn't seem to do much for the offense on either side. Last night, the Redbirds looked to break out the brooms and complete a 3-game sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies. Lance Lynn looking for win number 12, and Lynn was sensational through 7 innings, recorded 6 strikeouts, and gave up just 1 run on 5 hits. Good evening, everyone. The men's basketball team has started the season out strong. They're undefeated at 9-0 with wins over a ranked UCLA squad and wins over other power conference opponents like Northwestern and West Virginia. But despite all that, this team is still very much in flux. There are just a couple veterans returning from last year's team and a few freshmen and transfers from last year to work into the fold. The Missouri Tigers still have some tough games on the slate before they open conference play. There's still the bragging rights game against Illinois and a trip to Raleigh to take on North Carolina State. But first, the Tigers must turn their attention to the Western Michigan Broncos and on themselves as they continue to sort out their roles.
We're still trying to tinker with some things rotational-wise and timing when we rotate guys, and that may vary from game to game based on fouls and whatnot. But I think guys understand what they can give us to help us win, to be successful, and that's the bottom line.
Right now, it's a blessing to be on the floor and playing the minutes I've been playing, but I know I still got a lot of things to prove on the offensive and defensive end. I
just came in here, man, just trying to be solid, do what the team asked me to do. So, I mean, coach put me in a position to make plays, and I feel like I'm doing that right now and just keep getting my teammates involved.
Now, one area Coach Gary Pinkel has had a lot of success in is recruiting football players from the state of Texas. In fact, 35 of Mizzou's football players are from the Lone Star State, including Henry Josie, James Franklin, and Michael Sam. Well, those guys get the added bonus of going home when they play in the Cotton Bowl in January. The players get back to work for the Cotton Bowl next week, and they're all looking forward to it, especially knowing their friends and family will be right there to support them.
A lot of guys are from Dallas and the Houston area, so it's good for us to get back and see our families. We haven't seen them in a long time, and we don't go to Texas anymore, so it's a great blessing for us.
It'll be pretty exciting. Hopefully I have a lot of people that are supporting me, and I know I have a lot of friends and family there, so hopefully they'll be able to make it.
It means a lot. It's a memory, you know, and think about it, you know, at the end of the day, you know, some stuff fade away, but the memories you get to take with you forever, and definitely that's going to be a memory for me and my family.
Defensive end Michael Sam adds to his award count. Sam has been named a first-team All-American. Sam was tied for 10th in the nation with 10.5 sacks. He led the SEC in that category. Also, the Kansas City Royals signed infielder Omar Infante to a 4-year deal worth about $30 million. That's all from Sports. News will be back after the break. Now, the Tigers were dogs in this one, if you will, as Georgia was favored by 7 points before the game. But the Tigers had other plans between the hedges. Hey, Pinkel, you think visors are cool? You're going to find something new when you come to Sanford Stadium in 2013. First quarter, no score. Georgia strikes first with this Aaron Murray pass to freshman running back Brendan Douglas. Dogs up 7-0 early, but Missouri responds on the very next drive, and James Franklin says, if you give me some daylight, I'll take it to the house. Ties it up at 7 in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, Mizzou's vaunted offense continues its attack on Georgia. Franklin finds LaDainian Washington in the corner of the end zone for a beautiful touchdown pass to put the Tigers up. And Missouri is 18th in the nation in rushing yards. And here's a little reason why. Good blocking and a relentless run by Marcus Murphy. That's Mizzou with 36-yard score and gives them a 21-10 lead in the second quarter. Oh, and that defense's turnover streak? Yeah, that's still a thing. Shane Ray forced a sack and fumble, and reigning defensive lineman of the week, Michael Sam, scoops it up and returns it for a huge score, 28-10 Mizzou heading into the half. Can't expect Georgia to stay out of it, though, as Aaron Murray throws a pass to Chris Conley to bring them closer. And then everything continued to go downhill. James Franklin caught up on this play, got rid of the ball, but injured as he's thrown to the ground, heads to the locker room for the remainder of the game with a separated shoulder. So here comes the redshirt freshman, Matty Mock. And what better way to get your young QB comfortable than a little bit of trickery, a screen pass to Bud Sasser, who uncorks a beautiful deep ball to LaDainian Washington, who hauls it in for the score. Here's a replay of that play at a different angle. And what a play call by the Tigers to get their stagnant offense going. 34-26 after the missed point after attempt. Murray trying to carry the Dogs back in this one, but with your top two running backs and receivers out, there's only so much you can do. Randy Ponder with the pickoff, and Missouri with the win over a top 10 team, 41-26. Last time Missouri did that was 1981 at Mississippi State. And reports from a number of sources are saying Franklin suffered a grade 2 shoulder separation on his throwing arm, and he'll be out for roughly 6 weeks, which in this case means the rest of the regular season. That makes the rest of the season more difficult for the Tigers. Florida and South Carolina, two ranked teams, are next on the docket, and both were in action today. The Gamecocks were in Arkansas today to take on the Razorbacks, and that wasn't much of a contest. 14th ranked South Carolina wins 52-7 to prove to 5-1 on the season, 3-1 in the SEC. And in a tight one that the Florida Gators lost to LSU by a score of 17-6. The Gators fall to 4-2 overall and 3-1 in the SEC. The Gators are coming to Columbia next Saturday. In case you didn't stay up late to watch the 4-hour and 47-minute game between the Cardinals and Dodgers last night, Cardinals won 3-2. Carlos Beltran was the hero last night as he drove in all 3 of St. Louis's runs and made a couple of big plays on defense as well to keep that game going in extra innings. Cardinals and Dodgers played today at 3 o'clock, just 15 hours or so after a 13-inning game wrapped up last night. Michael Wacha looks to follow up on his stellar start against Pittsburgh. Top of the first, Wacha strikes out Yasiel Puig to end the inning. That was one of Wacha's 8 strikeouts on the day. Bottom 5th, David Freese finally gets the Cards offense going with a double into left off of Kershaw. That's going to bring home the first run of the game and really, or rather puts him on second base. Later on, he's going to be at third. It's going to be John Jay who's going to hit a ball into left field. Carl Crawford with the catch and a little off target going to home plate. Freese scores the first run of the game to give the Cardinals the lead, 1-0. And Wacha striking out a batter here to end a threat in the 6th inning to get out of a jam. Next batter, Juan Uribe, also goes down swinging. Wacha finished with 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits and no runs. Top of the 9th, Trevor Rosenthal strikes out Andre Ethier for a 1-2-3 9th. The Redbirds take a 2-0 series lead over the Dodgers by a score of 1-0. The Westminster Blue Jays were looking to put an end to a 2-game-long losing streak coming into today's game against Minnesota Morris. In the second quarter, the Blue Jays up 7-0 until Donnie Mavenkamp lobs one to Brendan Foss. And look at the catch on that one. The extra point, however, was no good. 7-6 Westminster. Still in the second when Daniel DeGraffenried fields this punt, flies past defenders, and makes a cut inside as he's gone 58 yards for the touchdown, giving the Cougars a 12-7 lead. Later in the half, a reverse pass. I mean, this is just trick plays all day today. Backup QB Justin Billiott finds Mac Fine-Dice down the sidelines, and that sets up this run from Ronnie Seals Jr. He'll fly past defenders for his second touchdown of the game. Westminster regained the lead 13-12, and it was a close one through and through as Minnesota Morris wins 45-38. And the Helias Crusaders took a little trip east on I-70 to play MICDS Rams in St. Louis. Hale Henches and the Crusaders won that one 51-13 and improved to 5-2 on the season. That's all from Sports News. Will be back after this break. Many people felt would be high scoring.
Franklin goes into the end zone. They give it to Murphy, and the scat back. Full head is coming. It's caught.
A single turnover could be the difference in the game. Sure enough, in the second quarter,
Show blitz. Here they come. Oh, it's picked out of the air. This could be a touchdown. Heading the other way. Tony Ely. Touchdown, Missouri.
that play not only extended the defense's turnover streak, it also gave the Tigers interceptions returned for touchdowns in consecutive games.
To the 30, to the 20, to the 10, to the house. Touchdown, Missouri.
Defensive coordinator Dave Steckel preaches turnovers in practice, but he can only talk so much. It's up to the players to put those words into action.
I just think we're being aggressive. I think we're using the fundamentals that all the other coaches are teaching and stuff, and we're doing a great job of vision and breaking it on the football. So you got to attribute to our kids being able to see the ball.
Well, Coach Dick and the rest of the defensive coaches, they preach takeaways, and that's when we go out there and practice, and we try to get as many takeaways as possible. We try to get at least 6-7 takeaways practice, and, you see how it happens in the game.
Ely took his first career interception in for a touchdown, and then linebackers Darvin Ruiz and Kentrell Brothers picked off their first passes at Mizzou as well. Pinkel doesn't know what makes his team so good at forcing turnovers, but he doesn't seem to mind. On one condition.
Well, we need more, so whatever that is, we need more.
It's one of the most exciting things that can happen in a football game.
Underneath, McKissick catches it, flag on the play, as he's brought down at the 46.
The big hit. Rugby has a lot of contact as well, so why are concussions a major issue in football, but not in rugby?
Rugby players don't have helmets, and so the way that they tackle is completely different. They tackle more with their body and dragging people down rather than leading directly with their head and tackling somebody.
In football, you're taught to put your helmet on the ball because that helps us lodge it, this is an aiming point, whatever. In rugby, you're not wearing any pads, so if you put your helmet, there's no helmet. You put your head on the ball and hurt your head, You're taught to put your head away from the ball. A concussion occurs when a large force, such as another person or even the ground, hits your head and rattles your brain around. Dr. Gray says this changes the blood flow and the chemical composition of your brain, but not the structure, making it impossible to see concussions on an MRI or CAT scan. On top of that, concussion symptoms are not universally recognizable. Concussions are very individualized, and that's what makes diagnosing them very difficult. And probably one of the toughest things that I have to do on a sideline as a physician covering sports is, decide when an athlete has a concussion versus when they don't. Some athletes will have more of a headache or dizziness, while others will feel more like they're in a fog or kind of dazed.
A Purdue University study published in the Journal of Neurotrauma estimates there's between 43,000 and 67,000 high school football players who suffer from concussions every year. And those are just the reported cases. The doctors who published the study said that if you include unreported concussions, there could be more than 100,000 cases each year. Pascal believes that number is higher than we know.
In football, in high school, concussions are pretty common, but I think the scary thing is in high school football, these aren't trained doctors and professionals, and a lot of these coaches have egos, and a lot of these kids are high school kids, so they just want to show out. A lot of them do go undiagnosed, and there are kids that knowing what we know now, probably did have concussions that just played through it or didn't get it treated all the way.
So if rugby players have to tackle differently due to a lack of padding, it seems fair to think football helmets could be a part of the problem. Is the tool used to guard against skull fractures creating an entirely new issue?
I just feel like football helmets are inherently flawed. I don't know why they make it out of such hard material on the outside. I get for the protective measure of it, but when you hit the ground or you hit another helmet, it's two solid objects. There's nothing there to absorb the impact. It's soft padding on the inside, but it still resonates. So it's like a giant bill on your head.
Football helmets, those are made to prevent skull fractures, but they're not made to prevent concussions. And so we just don't currently have, materials as far as soft foams and padding that can stop that, but then also that's hard enough on the outside to prevent a skull fracture. And a lot of people don't think that we'll ever be able to make a perfect helmet.
Tom Castleman, KOMU 8 Sports, Columbia.
Number 6, Tevin Coleman, the ball carrier.
Football team will play in Baylor's Getterman Classic this weekend. KOMU 8's Tom Castleman reports on the Tigers' 2 freshman pitchers.
She was dominant, setting school records in both wins and strikeouts. But for the first time in 5 years, the Tigers are without Chelsea Thomas. But there are 2 new freshmen on the roster to pitch, and neither of them are shy about the pressure that lies ahead.
We're excited. We're excited for everything that Chelsea did, and we're excited to start our own journey and take it the next 4 years. And so, no pressure, just really excited to, finally be here and be out there.
She was an amazing pitcher and someone that I, even coming in, when I first verbaled here, someone I looked up to, and she was an amazing role model on and off the field. And so I'm kind of excited to even step on the same mound as her, all that kind of stuff, but also kind of do my own thing.
Last season, Chelsea Thomas was the only pitcher on Mizzou's roster. This year, Coach Earlywine has multiple pitchers to go to, which means greater flexibility and some peace of mind as well.
I wouldn't have had the appreciation that I have for it now had I not gone through the Chelsea Thomas situation last year. I'm really, really grateful for it after having gone through a lot of sleepless nights last year on who's going to pitch tomorrow type of questions.
The Tigers will surely miss a pitcher who is arguably the best player this team has ever had, but the new players are eager to write a narrative all of their own. In Columbia, Tom Castleman, KOMU 8 Sports.
Mizzou gymnastics in the regular season at Alabama, January 10th.
It ended in a tie, a fitting end to a fun-filled evening. Tom Castleman, KOMU 8 Sports, Jefferson City.